What if you could time travel? Would you use that ability to change something in your own life or to fix something in history? This is an interesting question that has been pondered by philosophers and scientists alike. And there are many possible answers. It all depends on what you think is important. Some people might say that they would use time travel to change something in their own life. Maybe they would go back and warn their younger selves about a mistake that they are about to make, or prevent their parents from getting divorced, or fix some other event that had a major impact on their life. Others might say that they would use time travel to fix something in history. Maybe they would go back and prevent the assassination of JFK, or stop World War II from ever starting, or undo the damage done by the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. There are lots of possibilities here. It really just depends on what you think is important. But what if you could only time travel to the past? Would you still want that ability? After all, it seems like we could do a lot more good by preventing bad things from happening in the future than by changing things in the past. Well, this is a tough one. On the one hand, it would be nice to be able to go back and prevent all the horrible things that we know are going to happen in the future, like natural disasters, terrorist attacks, and the deaths of innocent people. But on the other hand, it could be argued that these things happen for a reason and that we don't have the right to interfere with the natural order of things. Besides, even if we tried to prevent bad things from happening in the future, there's no guarantee that it would work. We could end up creating even worse problems. So what if we could only time travel for a limited amount of time? Say we could only go back in time for a few hours, or maybe a few days. Would that be enough time to make a difference? Well, it depends on what you wanted to accomplish. If you just wanted to go back and see what it was like at a certain point in history, then sure, a few hours or days would probably be enough time. But if you wanted to actually change something, then it might not be enough. For example, if you wanted to go back and prevent a war from starting, you would need more than just a few hours or days. You would need to be prepared to live in the past and make a real difference. This would obviously be very difficult, but it's not impossible. There are lots of people who have lived in the past and made a positive impact. For example, if you were a skilled doctor, you could go back and help people in a time when medical care was lacking. Or if you were a brilliant scientist, you could go back and make discoveries that would change the world. Of course, these are just two examples. There are really no limits to what you could accomplish if you were willing to put in the effort. So, what if you could only time travel for a limited amount of time and only to the past? Would you still want that ability? Well, it's a tough call. On the one hand, it would be amazing to be able to see what it was like at different points in history. But on the other hand, it could be argued that we shouldn't interfere with the past, and that any attempt to do so could have negative consequences. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to time travel is a personal one. There is no right or wrong answer. It all depends on what you think is important. Now it's your turn. Would you use time travel to change something in your own life or to fix something in history? If you could only time travel for a limited amount of time or only to the past, would you still want that ability? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.